building the business. But ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have that burning desire, you're not going to become successful. In fact, they say the most powerful weapon on the planet Earth is a human soul set on fire. And that's what you got to do. You got to go out there, you got to get passionate, you got to get excited. Because if you're not excited about where you're going, you're not going to get there. Does that make sense? Yeah. So can we give her another round of applause? Yeah. So my topic is very, very simple. It's staying in phase one. And I honestly believe it is the most important topic to building your business. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you guys want to build a tremendous business? Say aye. Aye. I'm talking about a business that transcends time, that location, languages, and nationalities. How many of you guys want to do that? Say aye. Aye. I don't sense the passion. How many of you guys want to do that? Say aye. Aye. Good, right? And one of the things that stops people from becoming successful, number one, is not showing excitement. And number two is worrying about what everybody else thinks of you. You gotta let go of the image conversations, right? Now, let me tell you something. So many people, like if you're worried that people are judging you, they're so busy thinking about what you're thinking of them, they're not even thinking about you. Okay, so that's a cool thing. So staying in phase one, I honestly believe, like I said, is the most important topic of building your business. But again, none of this stuff matters. In fact, Mr. Tim Herr's segment doesn't matter if you don't have a hot, burning desire like what Mr. Cole Wong said. So staying in phase one, what is phase one? That is doing the activities that's going to get your organization to superstar, to bronze, and royale. Now what's scary is that a lot of people, they get started, they're like, man, this business is hard, how to do this, how to do that. And really this business is easy. We just confuse with what takes time as what's difficult. Now if I were to go out there and I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to California, go to the beach, and our assignment is to fill up the bucket halfway with sand, is that easy or is that hard? Easy. But what if I told you you had to fill up the bucket with sand, 1 grain of sand at a time? Is that easy or is that hard? Can a little kid do it? In fact, it's easy. It just takes time. And in fact, this business, what I learned very quickly when I talked to Mr. Tim Herr, and I said, what's the secret to building this business? He says, focus on getting people promoted. He said, see, the baby understands. She understands. She's like, yeah, getting people promoted, right? And really that's what it's about, is getting people to the first step, which is superstar. People go, what do I focus on? Do I focus on volume? Do I focus on preferred customers? No, focus on people going superstar. Why? Because if you go superstar, you're going to sign up some agents. Yes. Are you going to close some packages? Yes. Are you going to get some preferred customers? Yes. And the reason why that's so important is because, ladies and gentlemen, when we go out there and we lead a team, it's all about our people, not about us. Yes. How many of you guys were at the last regional by show of hands? Remember when Mr. Craig Holliday came up here, what did he say? He goes, it's not about you. So for your notes, start off, it's not about you. Leadership is not about you, it's about your people. It's about your people. People are going to be more motivated to help them accomplish their goals than to accomplish your goals. True or not true? But here's the crazy part. If you help enough people get what they want, you're automatically going to get what you want. So that's the topic for today, is how to go phase one. So let's talk about it. 4 phases of building a team. There's 4 phases. Phase one is you're going out there, you're actively recruiting new agents, you're actively getting new preferred customers, you're launching people, and you're getting people the superstar. Now this is what happens. When you're in phase one, what's going to happen is you're going to experience massive momentum. Now how many of you want to experience massive momentum? Say aye. Aye. Right? If you want to experience massive momentum, the formula is simple. Momentum is created through, number 1, high morale. So the next question is, how do you create high morale? It's through victory. And how do you create victories? By going out there, getting people promoted, and that's what's going to create momentum. And that's where phase one comes in handy, right? But then what happens? We go out there, we build a business, and we have new agents, and then we're going to enter something called phase two, and that's when we start managing existing reps. That's when you're like, I got some new people, let's see how it goes, I'm going to watch them, and I'm going to help them, right? How many guys have ever fallen in that trap before? Yes. Right, I got there too, right? And it's kind of demotivating when you have leaders that are telling you to do something that you know you're not doing yourself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do you want to have a big team or small team? Big. Then understand that you always have to do what you're asking your people to do. And, you know, that's what's amazing about this business, is if you truly want to become successful, you got to build a team, yes or yes. And you got to develop leaders. And, you know, Mr. Tim Herr is going to go over how to build leaders and leadership development. How many guys are excited for Mr. Tim Herr? Yeah. And the secret to building your business, if you want to become successful, is finding people that would be willing to cut off their right arm for you. But in return, they have to know that you're willing to cut off both arms for them. That's what leadership is. But when you go out there and you manage existing reps, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have decreased momentum. All of a sudden, your business is going to start slowing down. All of a sudden, it's, morale's not as high. And then the trap is, then you start falling into phase 3. Phase 3 means you go out there and you start overseeing the managers. Right? You're like, I'm watching them. They're watching them. Everything's good, right? You start calling your team. What's your numbers at? How many guests do you have? Do you have any wow parties set up? And then what ends up happening is you're going to start experiencing no momentum. How many of you guys want to see the scariest part of your business? Say aye. I know, that's kind of demotivating, right? Nobody wants to see that, right? But phase 4 is overseeing the overseers. Now what you're going to happen is negative momentum. And that's when problems and challenges start to arise because, what do they say, right? Problems and challenges are what you see when you take your eyes off the prize, yes or yes? So the key is always to stay in phase 1. And that's just simply going out there, doing what you're asking your people to do. Now for your notes, understand success is simple. Just be the rep you want to attract. But more importantly, be the leader you'd want to follow. Right? Here's amazing. You think about all the greatest leaders that you've ever came across. What are some qualities that they have that you honestly believe make them successful? Start shouting them out. They're responsible. What else? Honest. What else? Committed. What else? Coachable. Accountable. Trustworthy. Integrity. Sincerity. Busy. Focused. Organized. Now, here's what's crazy. Is we all know what makes a great leader, yes or yes? But true or not true, all the things that everybody just mentioned, those are things that we can learn and adapt ourselves. True or not true? So we already know what it takes to become successful. In fact, by doing what we're supposed to do, becoming a superstar, do you know how to recruit agents? Do you know how to get customers? And wouldn't it be safe to say the only difference between a bronze and a superstar is a bronze has more superstars, yes or yes? And is it safe to say the difference between a Royale and a bronze is a Royale has more superstars, yes or yes? And is it also safe to say that a difference between a silver and a Royale is a silver has more superstars, yes or yes? Then if you can get to the position of superstar, you already have what it takes to become a crown executive in this business. The question is, do you have enough desire to stay the course? See, the problem is a lot of people, they give themselves enough time to fail but not enough time to succeed, yes or yes? And I'm here to tell you, you got to pay the price. You can't haggle with the price. It's something you have to do. You want to become successful. And how do you do that? By staying in phase 1. So how do you develop a phase 1 attitude? It starts with belief. How many guys have belief in this business? Say aye. Aye. How many guys have belief in the product? Say aye. Aye. How about the leadership? Aye. But it also starts with the belief that you have in yourself. Because we all want to make a lot of money, but understand that your net worth will never exceed your self-worth. If you don't believe that you can do it, it's not going to happen. So you got to build the belief in you. That's where it starts, with belief, with utmost certainty. And what's crazy is there's a gentleman in this room. His name is Sam Park. I like to give him some special recognition. We give Sam a round of applause. And Sam is a gentleman. When I got back to Seattle from Washington, got back to Washington from California, he said, you know what, my business isn't where it's at. He was frustrated. And I said, it starts with your belief. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to go into phase 1, all this stuff. And, I injected belief in him, but he didn't really believe in himself. And he says, how do I become successful? And I said, belief. And I said to him exactly what Nicole said, faith the size of a mustard seed, right, can move mountains, right? And, people go, have you guys ever met negative people that say, don't get your hopes up? Yes. I'm telling you, get your hopes up, because that's where faith comes from. And I told Sam, I said, you got to have faith, you got to have belief. And he said, what kind of belief do I need to have? And I go, you have to believe without a shadow of doubt that you're going to become successful. And he says, well, and I said, well, just imagine. And again, we're not here to preach religion or anything like that, okay? But bear with me. Imagine whether you're religious or not. Let's just say one day, God came down and took you to heaven, right? And he showed you what heaven looked like. And he says, son, daughter, whatever, this is where all the good people go. That if you live a righteous life, you go out there, you help a lot of people, this is what you get to enjoy. And then God takes you down and takes you to the other place. He goes, this is where all the bad people go. and drops you back off on earth and said the choice is yours, how would you live your life? True or not true, it does not matter how tough the temptation becomes. You will stay the course, yes or yes? Yes. And that's the kind of belief you have to have with this business, and more importantly in yourself, that you can become successful. That without a shadow of doubt, you have to have belief, and you got to go out there, and more importantly, you got to be excited. You got to have enthusiasm. In fact, you look at the last 4 letters, the IASM stands for I am sold myself. You got to be excited. You got to go out there. You got to share your excitement, because that's what creates momentum. That's what attracts what you want. And I love what Nicole said. It's so true, is that when you want something bad enough, what you want ends up wanting you. Wow. And that's where Sam was. And Sam was like, man, I got to believe. I'm like, yes, you got to believe. I'm telling you, you can do it. And I said, you know what? If I can do it, it's embarrassing if you don't do it. And he goes, but you're so good. And I was like, I wasn't always good. I was like, when I got started, I was horrible in this business. In fact, the first time I did a presentation, it was the worst one I have ever done in my life. I was in this nutraceutical company, and the product, right, I'll tell you, I was doing the presentation, I was so nervous, and I said, man, one of my favorite products that I love, and you know, it tastes so good in my mouth, is the peanut butter bars, and I can't have enough of it. And the product was the peanut butter bars, right? And everybody started laughing. I thought, you know, they were cheering me on. But what happens is when you see people on this stage, like Ms. Nicole Wong, myself, other leaders like Mr. Jaron Davis in Portland, Oregon, Mr. Tim Herr, you have to understand, you see us for where we are right now. You didn't see us for where we got started. See, make no mistake about it. In this business, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. And I told Sam that, I'm like, you just got to pay the price. And Sam started believing, and then, you know, he went out there, and he went to phase 1. He goes, well, how do I get my team to move? He goes, how do I get my team to recruit more people? I said, you got to recruit more people. He says, how do I get more preferred customers? I said, you got to get more preferred customers. And I said, if it doesn't start with you, it won't start with anybody else. And he went out there, and guess what happened? He recruited somebody. And that person brought over 8 people with him today. But here's what happens, though. Everything you do duplicates. Because people are leading by example. They're watching your example, yes or yes? Yeah. Watch very quickly. Everybody go like this. Go like this. Put it on your forehead. Put it on your forehead. Okay? Now put it on your cheek. Put it on your cheek. Yeah, this is your chin. This is your cheek. So people, and I know, Judy, you fell for it again, right? It's like the 3rd time, right? But that's what people don't realize. So subtly, people will do what you do, not what you say. And then what happened was there's a gentleman named Vince Ho. If we could give him a round of applause, right? And Vince Ho is a gentleman that was in this business for a while, kept trying to recruit people, and didn't really work out, but he stayed the course. He had belief. And because he saw Sam go out there and personally sponsor somebody, he went out there and said, you know what? I'm going to do it too. And he brought somebody in named Hilario Manalo, who, you know, in less than 1 week is now a star builder. Who by Wednesday will be a bronze agent in less than 2 weeks with 2 superstars. But how did it start? It started with Sam going out there doing what he wanted his team to do. By being excited, he goes, how am I going to be excited? My business is not moving. I said, that's where you need to be excited the most. Because it's easy to be excited when times are good, true or not true? Yes. But true leadership is when you're excited and positive when times are going wrong. Because why? All the good times is going to build your check. All the tough times is going to build you. And that's the most important part, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You can't have a testimonial without a test. Right? Who pays big money to go to a seminar to hear from someone that's successful and became more successful? Nobody. What pulls us all together is struggles, challenges. That's what makes us better. In fact, you look at the word character. It comes from the Latin word meaning to chisel. And when you go out there, you go through problems, you go through challenges, true or not true, those problems and challenges is like a stroke of that chisel that chips away at you, yes or yes? Yes. But in the final moments when you look back is what made you the masterpiece. You watch any successful person in any company, no matter what product, no matter what service, when it comes to that moment where they're recognized for their achievement, what do they talk about? They talk about their tough times. Because why? Your tough times become your best times when you look back and you grow from it. So you got to be excited. How do you have excitement with belief? I mean, just imagine, right? Let's just say, imagine your dream car. Everybody have your dream car in mind? Yeah. And imagine if you knew for a fact in the next 90 days, you were going to have your dream car without a shadow of a doubt. How many guys would be excited? Yeah. Now, day one, you wake up. You show the business to some people and they say no. They flake out on you. They tell you it's not going to work. Will you still be excited? Because you know, without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to happen. And that's how excited you have to be with this business, ladies and gentlemen, because when you go out there and you're excited, you're going to attract the right people. When you have belief. And when you have excitement, here's the most important part. A lot of people in the room, you have belief, you have excitement, but the key to accomplishment is going out there taking action. You got to take action. Don't be upset with the results you got with the work you didn't do. So you're like, my business is moving. And I have leaders tell me all that time, they're like, man, how do I get my business moving? I'm not signing enough people. And they're like struggling. They're telling me that. And I tell them, let me see your schedule. Let me see your schedule. And they're like, well, I've only been in front of 4 people. I'm like, it's kind of hard to sign up people if you only talk to 4 people. True or not true? But you got to go out there and you got to take action. That's where all of it starts. But here's what happens. When you take action, what happens? You get results. And when you get results, what happens to your belief? Then what happens to your excitement? And what happens to your action? And then what happens to your results? And that's where the key is. Now, understand, ladies and gentlemen, it's called the bear cycle, not the bar cycle, right? Some people are like, I believe, but I'm not going to show my excitement. I'm already excited. It's not going to happen. You got to show your excitement. You got to believe, because if you're not excited about it, how do you expect other people to be excited about it? Right? Some people go, it's the rave attitude, right? If I get the results, right, then I'm going to take action and get excited, then I'm going to believe. Is that how life works? No. You know, we live in a society that's all backwards. It's crazy. We live in a society that, number one, teaches us, I'll believe it when I see it, right? Well, it's not true. When you study all successful people, they knew without a shadow of doubt they're going to become successful. In fact, the reality is, it's like exactly what Miss Nicole said, is you got to see it to believe it. I mean, you got to believe it to see it. That's how it happens. You got to see it. They say every major accomplishment was done twice. Once in the mind, then once in reality. But if you can't believe yourself doing it, how do you expect yourself to do it? Then we live in another philosophy that we have that's all screwed up, right? Is we believe we have to have something to be able to do something, to be something. True or not true? Man, if I had more money, then I'd be able to do this and be this. Man, if I had, was born in a better family, I'd be able to be this and do this. True or not true? Yeah. But the reality is be, do, have. You got to be it first to be able to do it till you have the things that you want. See, we live in a society that we confuse results with recognition of results. Think about it. When you cross the stage, when Miss Nicole Wong got the 6-figure ring on stage and she shared her speech, was that the moment she became successful? No, that was the moment she got recognized for success. See, she was a success every time she showed up to Seacret University when she didn't want to show up. She became a success every time she made a phone call when she was scared. She became a success when she did a wow party when she didn't feel like doing it. That's how you become successful, is the things that you do. How many of you guys are ready to become successful? Say aye. Aye. You got to go out there, you got to take action. That's where it happens. Right? So you got to have that. Right? So how do you do that? Development phase 1 attitude. Number 1 is you got to be the number 1 recruiter in your organization. You got to be the number 1 wow party person in your organization. Because again, you can't ask anything of others that you're not willing to give yourself. True or not true? And I understood that too, and I told Sam, and I was like, you know what, Sam? I'll make you a deal. Just to show you how simple it is, you do it, and I'll do it with you. And today, I have my new friend, Daniel Wong, who got started as my personal today. And how many guys live in Seattle, Washington, or live in Washington by show of hands? I'm not from here. What's your excuse? I'm a firm believer you can have everything and anything you want the moment you give up the excuses of why you can't have it. See, a lot of times, it's so frustrating as leaders because when we come here and we do these regionals, when I first got started, I thought it's all about if I could just say the right things and do the right things, people are going to become successful. But the reality is we can't do that. All we can do is show you a way for you to make a decision to go out there and change your life. See, I'm a firm believer that everybody in this room has two important dates in their business. Number one is the day they get started, and number two is the day they get started. And for a lot of us, it's not the same day. I honestly believe if you're in this room, you fill out the application, you already got started. But our hopes today with me, Miss Nicole Wong, Miss Elena, all the leaders in the room, is to bridge that gap to help you guys get started. I'm telling you, it's okay. Don't be scared. This is simple. Have fun with it. So many of us are scared of change because it's different. Let's be honest. How many of you guys are scared of change by show of hands? Change is necessary. Because if you want some things in your life to change, guess what we should do? Change some things in our life. Some people are so scared of change, they're willing to lose and lose and lose and lose. I say become the person that's so sick and tired of losing. Yeah. Right? Be the person that's sick of losing that you're willing to change. Life is short. In fact, if you work out the numbers, it's actually pretty sad. Because you can actually calculate how short life is. And so many of us take it so much for granted. I mean, you look at it, the average life expectancy in America is 77 years old. How many days are there in a year? The average person will live less than 28,700 days in their life. In fact, the moment you turn 18 and graduate high school, you've already lived 6,700 of those days. Society tells you, go out there, get a job, work till you're 65 and retire. That's an additional 17,000 days of your life, leaving you with 3,000 golden days for you. And you know what the scary part is? Time waits for nobody. And again, how many of you made decisions to last year to make this year different by show of hands? 45 days have already gone by. And before you know it, it's going to be summer. And before you know it, it's going to be New Year's Eve again. That's right. And if you want this year to be different, you got to do something different. And I understand we're all excited because we're at the right place at the right time, but understand if you don't take the right action, you're going to get run over. It's actually not about talent. I've seen talented people join this business, even Seacret, that don't become successful, that get outworked by someone with less talent because they had stronger desire. And that's what it comes from heart, from desire. In fact, when the attitude is right, the facts don't matter. You're like, how can that be true? Well, for the longest time, it was deemed impossible for anybody to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Can you imagine for over 2,000 years with all the Olympics, with all these trained athletes, it was impossible. Until a gentleman named Roger Bannister said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And people laughed at him. People told him it wasn't going to work. People told him, Roger, if you run that fast, your body can't take it. Your heart and your lungs will explode. His own parents laughed at him. Took him to the pastor. Their pastor said, Roger, it's good to have good goals, but if God wanted somebody to run that fast, someone would have done it already. And Roger said, no, it doesn't matter. I know I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. And then one race he was running, he was in second place. And he said, you know what? This is the moment. He decided, he made a decision. And decision means you cut off any other option. And he made a decision, and that moment, he started running for it. In fact, that picture, that moment was captured in history. And what happened was a person that was in first place looked back to see where Roger was, and Roger passed him up on the other side. Yep. And he gave it so much that when he crossed that line, he literally collapsed and passed out. And when he looked up, he thought he died. He thought everything everybody said was true until they lifted him up and said that he did it and broke the record. Now, how many of you guys can agree that's pretty special? Yes or yes? Yes. But that's not where the story ends. That's where the story begins. Because 2 weeks after that, over 20 people did it. To this date, over 20,000 people have done it. Even high school students. For 2,000 years, it's impossible that someone did it. What changed? Was it the type of shoes that they wore? Did gravity all of a sudden change? Nope. What changed was the belief that it was possible, yes or yes? Yes. And I'm telling you to have belief. Why? Because in the last 19 months, we've already promoted 3 people who got started just like you, who saw this presentation, who saw the products, that made a decision, regardless of their doubts and skepticism, to get started. And I've already promoted over 3 people to make $1 million. If 3 people have done it, is it possible? Yes. Not only that, but over 4 people have made over $250,000. Is it possible? Yes. And over 12 people have made over $100,000. Is it possible? Yes. But even if it took you 4 years to learn this business, to make $100,000 a year, would it be worth it? Yes. So why should you get excited? Why should you have belief? Why should you take action? Because the answer is pretty simple. Outside of Seacret, what you're doing right now, what are the chances in the next 4 years you can create a 6-figure income? So why not work at a place where people are doing it? And what's amazing is people have different backgrounds, different walks of life, where it really doesn't matter where you're from. What matters is where you're going. And that's what's cool about being here. Why? Because you're surrounding yourself with people that have a common future, not necessarily a common past. Because sometimes the people in your past tend to try to keep you there, yes or yes? Yes. Here's the secret. Right? People will say, okay with seeing you get by, but they're not okay with seeing you get by them. Some people go, man, you know, haters. Haters are everywhere. In fact, whether you're a success or a failure, you're going to have a hater. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, if you know that, you're going to have it regardless. Which side would you rather be on, success or failure? Success. Just make a decision. Your friends aren't going to pay your bills. Right. Well, the only friends that would is Andrew Jackson and Benjamin Franklin. That's the only. But other than that, you're the one that has to be the one that's going to make a difference in your team. So you got to be the number one recruit in your organization. Number 2 is your daily method of operation. In fact, the secret to your success is what you do daily. I mean, imagine if we went out there and I said, Nicole, and she's a personal trainer, and I was like, Nicole, I plan to lose weight and get in shape. I plan to work out 1 day a week and work for 8 hours. Or do you recommend working 3 days a week for only 1 hour? Which one's more effective? Working 3 days. Because what you do consistently. Because how many of you truly want to live an amazing life? Say I. Aye. The secret to living a great life is about living great years. Because series of great years equals a great life, true or not true? Yes. And how do you have a great year? It's a series of great months, true or not true? True. And how do you live a series of great months? Is living a series of great weeks. True or not true? So how do you live a series of great weeks? It's living a series of great days. But one bad day does not equal a bad life. So what do you do daily? What's your daily method of operation? What are you doing daily? It's going to help you grow your business. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If you're building this business and you're booking appointment from appointment from appointment, you will never run out of people. You'll never run out of things to do. Because true or not true, every time you sit down with somebody, new people are going to get started, yes or yes? Yes. That means new people need to get launched, yes or yes? Yes. You book it. Put it down on paper. What you do daily is going to add up. Right? And that's what's crazy about it. Number 3 is speed and exposure, recruit for recruit. That means you get somebody in, guess what? You ask them how much money you want to make, how fast, how much results you want to have, how fast. You get them started, you book their wow party right away. You show them results fast as possible. And then it starts growing. I mean, you know, today, Mr. Ricky Wynn, where's Mr. Ricky Wynn at? Let's give him a round of applause, right, Mr. Ricky Wynn? Silver executive. And same deal. When I came back, he was like, man, I need to make this business happen. Because here's the deal. Everybody thinks of quitting at one point or another. How many of you, by show of hands, have ever thought about quitting Seacret by show of hands? If you didn't raise your hand, you're not building the business. Because it happens. And, you know, we were talking about it. He's like, what do I got to do? And I said, you got to go in phase 1. And he went out there and he did it. And he found a couple of people. And he built it, speed from exposure. And in less than 1 week, we now have a lot of momentum in his organization. And in 14 days, he promoted over 7 people that hit superstar in the first 7 days, no experience. Why? Because it's that bucket of sand. It just takes time. But the time it takes to meet somebody, to sign somebody up, true or not true, you can also launch them, yes or yes? And book their wow party. It's just going through the process. The faster you go through the process, the better you do it. And what happens is you help them have success, or they're going to run harder for themselves, yes or yes? Yes. Absolutely, right? So understanding that, you got to be a leader, not a helper. All out massive action. What kind of action? What kind of action?
All out. Massive action.
All out, massive action. This business is easier to do fast than slow. So just do it. Just get it over with. Right? You know, John, last night we had a call party, and John was like so scared, and I was like, John, just make the call. He's like, what did they say? No. I was like, just make the call. And he made the call. And he had 2 new people got started today. It's all about action. See, fear, we all experience fear. Successful people, people that fail, we all experience fear, but it's how we handle fear that makes a difference. See, some people look at fear and they say, you know, forget everything and run, right? How many of you guys ever experienced something, got so scared you just wanted to run away? But successful people, they look at fear and they say, face everything and rise. Because that's your moment. That's your chance. Because so many of us live in our past and we have all these reasons on why we can't become successful. You know, why this, why that, why that? Well, why not you? Why not you become successful? What makes you any different than anybody else? Is that desire. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you guys have a strong desire to become successful? Say, I.
Aye.
And you just got to have that desire. You got to have that belief. You got to keep it super simple, right? You got to go out there. You got to talk to more people. And that's really the key, because my mentor taught me the person you don't talk to won't join your business. The person you don't show the products won't become your customer. And this is when I got on the emotional roller coaster. How many of you guys have ever been on the emotional roller coaster before by show of hands? Now, if you didn't raise your hand, you're going to probably be on the emotional roller coaster next week and you have both hands up. Does that make sense? And for me, the emotional roller coaster was, man, how come my friends don't get started? I mean, we have that drive, right? That DNA, that voice that says someday, some way, somehow, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do big things. Let me tell you something. You have that voice. That makes you special. That's not normal. And we see people, our good friends that we share the business with, that we know need it, and they don't do it. Doesn't it drive you crazy? Yes. And I used to get so caught up in it. I used to question just because my friends didn't want to do it. And then Mr. Tim Miller pulled me aside. He goes, Julian, what's wrong? And I'm like, man, I don't understand why my friends don't want to do it. Is it the opportunity? Is it me? What is it? And he goes, Julian, understand this business, you're sorting. You're not recruiting, you're sorting. You're looking for the ones that are looking. And I was like, why? He goes, well, because, Julian, why would you get upset? How many of your friends were reading personal development books to become better before you got started in this business? How many of your friends are going to seminars to learn from successful people to improve their quality of life? And I go, none of them. And he goes, then are you very surprised that when they see this, they don't understand it right away? And I was like, wow, that's so crazy. He goes, Julian, understand this business. Those people are going to join later. You are the guinea pig. In fact, say, I'm the guinea pig.
I'm the guinea pig.
Even the cool people, I'm the guinea pig.
I'm the guinea pig.
Some of you, you're not cool. I'm the guinea pig.
I'm the guinea pig.
Now we got everybody, right? I'm the guinea pig. That's true because your friends are watching you. That bear cycle, see, when you invite some of your friends and they say no, it means your bear cycle is just not big enough yet. When I got started, my parents were so negative. They're traditional Vietnamese parents, and I'm telling you, you think, parents are strict. If you're not Asian, you don't know anything. I mean, nationalities have different things, true or not true. You got the belt, you got the paddle, you got the chancla, right? Asian parents come with martial arts. Does that make sense? Like my dad was a black belt in Taekwondo, and when I told him, like, man, he was like, whoosh, And they were negative. And I said, Mom, Dad, you don't understand. I'm doing this business. I'm going to retire you. You don't understand. I'm doing this for you. And my parents said, no, just quit. Get a job. Make enough money. Go back to school. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is the best thing ever. I'm going to make it. I'm going to take care of you. How many have your closest family and friends, your wives, not support you by show of hands? It just means your bear cycle's not big enough yet. And I stayed with the business, and guess what? When I started making $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, and I started giving my parents money every month to take care of the bill, do you think they were negative? No. I just grew my bear cycle. All of a sudden, my parents went from looking at my little brother saying, don't be like your older brother, to like, hey, can you talk to your brother? I think he's lost. To look at my brother like, hey, have you ever thought about doing what your brother's doing, right? And, one of the biggest things I got to accomplish was, when I got my 6-figure ring speech, I was able to bring my parents up onto stage and share that moment with them. Now, here's what's crazy, is that moment, I pictured it for over 4 years. Because for 4 years, I was in other companies. I wanted it to work. I was the person that showed up to the trainings, took a lot of good notes, paid attention, I never missed an event. And I thought for the longest time, because I was missing information, and I know some of you are here taking so much notes down. You never missed a regional, never missed Seacret University. And I know some of you are like, man, how come I'm not there yet? The realization is you have to realize that the only thing you're missing is the realization that you're not missing anything. That it's you. And when I met Mr. Tim Murray and he injected that belief in me, that's when everything changed. I'm here to tell you, you can do it. You can do it. Why not you? Why not you? Everybody say, I can do it.
I can do it.
Like you believe it. Say, I can do it.
I can do it.
And that's where it starts. Having that desire, and my mentor said, Julian, you got to have your goals so vivid that when you accomplish it, it's almost like deja vu. And that aligns with what Mr. Cole said. How strong are your whys, your goals? Are they strong enough that when you get there, it's almost as if you've already been there? Because if you have that strong enough why, you can do almost anything. It doesn't matter. Life can throw anything at you, but you'll still make it. That's why her part was so important. I hope you guys caught that. Having the dreams, having the visualization, that's where it starts. So talk to the most amount of people, guess what? You're going to make the most amount of money. Talk to some people, guess what? You're going to make some money. Talk to no people, guess how much you're going to make? No money. Right? So one thing my mentor taught me was a small acronym called SINALOA, Safety in Numbers and Law of Averages. The more people you talk to, the better your chances, yes or yes. That's all it is. It's the sorting process. Someone says no, great. Someone says yes, great. It doesn't matter. Why? Because every single person you meet up with is bringing you one step closer to your goals, yes or yes. And if they say no, people leave, guess what that means? It means they're making room for more of the right people to join your business. Okay? Spend 1 minute with 100 people, not 100 minutes with one person. Don't try to convince them sort. Right? You can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong things to the right person. It's timing, not talent. Understand, some will, some wait, so what? So who's next? Everybody say next.
Next.
Yeah, please.
Right? It's crazy. Right? So stay excited, be positive, and have fun. That's really what it is. Just being excited, right? And not just that, but action creates motivation. Action creates motivation. Because when the river stops flowing, that's when the crap starts rising to the surface, true or not true? Because when you're building, all the little things that used to slow you up doesn't even matter. Seeing people walk this stage, getting promoted, guess what? All the little challenges, people say no, doesn't matter. And you can make it.